Hi, this is Christine Vendel from PennLive, and I'm here in York County in Spring Grove, where a 24-year-old woman was killed inside her home over the weekend. Police arrested a suspect who also lived down the street and have connected an arson and some vandalism in the area to her murder. So let's start here at this home. This is where an arson happened. The woman, Samantha Stein, and her family were planning to move into this renovated home. They had moved in their furniture, and shortly afterward, someone kicked in the back door and set the furniture on fire. The neighbor who owns this property came over, saw the house on fire. She said she saw a ball of red flames coming out this door, and firefighters were able to put out the fire. That was around Thanksgiving, and the burned furniture is still here in the back. I'll show you. This is the burned furniture that was owned by Samantha and her boyfriend. They lived over here in this white house next door, and they were planning to move into this place this month, but after their furniture was set on fire, they changed their minds, and now the neighbor is still having to re-renovate this place that she just fixed up. So you can see still some crime scene tape here. So the night of the murder, the neighbor told me that there was snow on the ground and she saw footsteps in the snow behind her house. She thinks the suspected killer may have been waiting for her to go to bed before he attacked. So she went to bed about 1:45, and the attack happened later in Samantha's home here. We're behind the home, but I'll walk around to the front. Because of the fire and some vandalism against cars here, there was some cars that were keyed and bleach and different sugar, chemicals, different things put in the gas tanks in recent months. The neighbors put in cameras. See, you can see one here at Samantha's house. And you'll notice here the camera to Samantha's house. Can you see? Let me get over here. The cord was cut. So this is where Samantha lived, and someone was nice enough to put some flowers and candles here. But Samantha was asleep on the first floor while her children were asleep upstairs. And the suspect came in, possibly through an unlocked front door, and police say she was stabbed in an attack and died. Her boyfriend found her when he came home from work the next morning. Samantha was friends with the woman who lived here. She and her husband live here with their kids, and see, they have cameras too, because they were concerned about the vandalism. And I'll show you, there was a vehicle here that was keyed. So the neighbors who have lived here for a long time say it's a quiet block and they haven't had any problems, but yet in recent months, all sorts of weird things started happening. And they think it's because Samantha was friends with her neighbor down the street, Mr. Heck, who he would walk around and didn't have much to do, and she was a stay-at-home mom, and so they would end up talking. She would sometimes give him a ride to the grocery store if he needed a ride. They would go on walks together. He would come over and sit on the porch and talk to her. And I'm trying to find out where his house is. He lived down here somewhere on that side of the road. But so Samantha had befriended him, and the neighbor said it wasn't unusual for neighbors to see Samantha and the suspect talking and walking around town together. but in recent months, she may have tried to cut ties and reduce the time that they spent together. And some neighbors are wondering if that was the tipping point that caused all of the vandalism and problems, because he was angry that she had cut off their friendship. It's really unclear. Police are planning a press conference at 7 o'clock tonight, and we should get some more information then about exactly the motivation, but police say that the suspect stole items from the home, a computer and some other valuables that he apparently stacked on the front porch and then took home. They found the knife they believe to be used in the attack at a wooded area, I think that way, behind these homes. And police said the suspect walked around a lot, so apparently he discarded some items and evidence in dumpsters around and in the woods. And supposedly the clothes he wore the night of the attack, they've recovered those. So neighbors are very distraught. They started some neighborhood patrols after the killing because they didn't know what was going on, and were very, very relieved when police did make an arrest. They said the police worked very hard, and they were happy to get the suspect off the street. He has a criminal record and apparently would brag about his felonies in front of Samantha and neighbors when they would get together and talk. We're back at Samantha's house here. And so they would sit right there in those chairs and talk, she and the suspect. And the one neighbor thought that Mr. Heck would be flirty sometimes. Maybe he had other ideas about the friendship, but it's really unclear. Either way, Samantha was just looking for a friend, as she didn't have that many. They had lived here for about a year, and she didn't have really any family to speak of. She might have had a sister, but she didn't have a relationship with her mother, or her mother didn't come over and visit her, so she was looking for friends, neighbors say. So now I'm heading back to the backyard because I mentioned this neighbor said the night of the attack she found footprints behind her house, thinks the suspect was back here waiting for her to go to bed, then struck over here. And you'll see this, Samantha's home is connected to a neighbor's home. He said he was in there asleep with his wife and 3 kids and their dog, and they didn't hear anything. So they basically, first thing they heard was 7 in the morning when the boyfriend came home and found Samantha murdered. He called over there for help getting the kids out of the house so they wouldn't have to see what had happened. But the police came quickly and helped get the kids out of the house so they wouldn't have to see what happened. It's unknown if they woke up earlier and may have seen anything, but the boyfriend was very concerned about getting them to safety, and the police handled that. So like I said, it all kind of started around Thanksgiving when the furniture, Samantha's furniture, got burned. They were planning to move into this house here on the left. I'm standing behind it, the house right now. But they were going to, I think this place had either a little bit more space or an extra bathroom, so they thought, they were friends with the woman who lived here, so she was going to give them a deal on the security deposit. They were looking at it like a move up, but after they moved their furniture in, someone kicked in this back door, poured gasoline on it, and set it on fire. And at the time, no one really connected it because apparently the tenant that used to live here got arrested for some infamous type of crime, and people thought maybe someone set it on fire as revenge or retaliation for that. But now, in light of the murder, people are putting it all together that the vandalism of the cars, this arson, and the murder all appear to be connected. The car vandalism, it's hard to figure out what the purpose of that was. I don't know if Samantha's vehicle or her boyfriend's was part of the vandalism. I know the woman who lived here, the one who saw the footsteps on her back porch, she did say her car got hit. And so basically a bunch of vehicles got keyed one night, and then other nights there was sugar and bleach and things poured into gas tanks. One neighbor thought maybe the suspect was trying to figure out who owned which car. So, because anytime there was an incident, like after this arson, the suspect would be out in the street asking police what happened, and he would be Johnny on the spot whenever anything happened. So maybe it was his way to determine who owned which vehicles or something, but it's really unclear whether he was responsible for all of the vandalism and why he may have done that. Maybe we'll learn more at the press conference tonight. That's at 7 p.m. So far the police have just said that they've arrested a suspect and more details will come. Now, the neighbors, I think, are also planning a vigil tonight on Samantha's front porch. And hopefully we can get some more information about the case, the evidence police have, and that sort of thing. I'm told that Samantha was a stay-at-home mom. The 4-year-old daughter was hers, and the 2 boys in the house were her stepchildren, you know, basically Alan's boys that he had custody of. This is the front door of the place that they were going to move into until it got burned. But anyway, she was a stay-at-home mom and was planning to get married, wanted to get married, and had an idea for a big fancy wedding, even though her boyfriend was ready to just get married. And neighbors describe her as very sweet and kind, and so she knew about Mr. Heck's criminal background but didn't seem bothered by it. She was just glad to have someone to talk to and was happy to take him to the store if he needed a ride. So again, this is where they were going to move until the arson, and then this woman owns the other half. She was friends with Samantha, thought very highly of her. Then this is where Samantha and her boyfriend lived, and then next door they were friends with that couple who slept through the whole attack, didn't hear anything. And supposedly the suspect lived down the street on the left. So I'll be writing up a story for PennLive with all these details and whatever else I can put together. I'll be researching the suspect's criminal background, so you'll want to check back with PennLive. But I wanted to show you the scene. And I'm sorry I have not yet identified the suspect's address, but the neighbors tell me that police showed up all dressed in tactical gear and were real quiet, like approached the house, kicked in, and got the guy out without incident. So neighbors were relieved with that arrest because it was very frightening to have a murder on the block when they said the biggest problem before then had just been speeding. A lot of vehicles speed up and down here. So I don't remember if I mentioned, but the suspect lived with his son and grandson. Grandson's about 16. But as you can see, people take pride in their homes here. We've got a lot of Christmas decorations, and it had been a very quiet block until the recent crime spree and activities. So we'll come back with more information when we have it. But this is the situation in Spring Grove in York County. Thanks for tuning in, and please check back with PennLive soon.